I was addicted to Overwatch. Like, nearly lost my job, my relationship, my social life, my health. That kind of addicted. I put multiple thousands of hours into Overwatch 1 across different accounts and different platforms. And when I wasn't playing the game, I was listening to podcasts about the game or watching the Overwatch League. Basically, if it wasn't Overwatch, it just didn't feel right. Everything else in life kind of felt like an obligation I had to get through just to get back to playing the game. And I was super irritable anytime I was doing anything that wasn't playing the game. It kind of felt like anytime I was doing anything else, I was wasting time that could have been spent playing Overwatch or going to sleep to be rested up to play Overwatch. To this day, I still have dreams where I'm playing Overwatch. It's in there. And when I have those dreams, I just kind of wake up wishing that I could play Overwatch. Just, one more time. Because I still crave the feelings that I got from playing the game, and I have to keep reminding myself that I'd be sacrificing a lot if I went back to playing it the way that I used to. And if I were to just try it one more time, it would end up being more than just one time. I'd end up convincing myself, oh, maybe if I just get better, I could make a career out of this somehow, like be a streamer, make content around it, whatever, because that's what I would tell myself. And that's how I got so deeply involved in the game. Some people do make a career out of playing Overwatch, but I wasn't quite as good as they were. At my peak, I only got to Master rank, which is the second highest rank. It would go Master, then Grandmaster, and within Grandmaster, there's top 500. And like Master rank is still like the top 8-ish%, but I never ended up actually playing Overwatch 2, which is probably for the best. And now with them canceling the PvE co-op mode that they promised, there's not really much of a reason for me or most people to go back to the game. It was just a really dumb decision. Like, if that had done well and people had been happy about how it was going and wanted their friends to play it with them, it would have brought more people in. And then more people would have talked about it, and it would have brought more attention to the game, which would have brought more attention to the PvP, which they could have made money off of, which is their main concern, clearly. And if they had done the PvE and I had tried it, it definitely would have ended up leading to me going back to the PvP, which was the source of my addiction in the first place. I got initially pulled in by a couple of friends that I had that were playing on the PlayStation, and I immediately fell in love with the story and the cinematics and the characters, which I still love, by the way. Like, all of those things about Overwatch are fantastic to this day, but nothing felt better than grinding the ladder for 14 hours a day. That was my ideal day. I would see how much better I was getting and improving by the day, and I would realize how much closer I was getting to all the players I idolized, or whichever one I idolized most that week, like Emong, or Super, or Harblue, or ML7, or whoever. But also at the same time, nothing felt worse than playing competitive Overwatch, because I wasn't always good enough or positive enough to get my team the victory. Oftentimes I'd start off on a big winning streak and it would feel really great, but then I'd start losing towards the end of the night after I started getting a little salty or a little more worn out. And I would just tell myself, okay, I'll stop once I get those points back, and sometimes I'd get those points back by the end of the night, but other times I would just keep losing because I was getting salty, I was getting tilted in my teammates. That wouldn't usually freak out over voice comms. A couple times I probably did, but the sunk cost fallacy would kick in, and I would just keep going because it felt like I wasted all of my time before that if I didn't get back to where I was or ahead of where I was. If I didn't, I'd be irrationally miserable, especially if I had to go to work after that. God, that was the worst. I would just spend the entire day thinking about how terrible a gaming session had gone, and I just couldn't wait to get back home, to go to sleep, to get back on and grind again. Because I needed that rush from winning, the rush that you get when you win multiple games in a row and you feel like you're on top and you're getting better and everything's going great. But that rush also gets less and less exciting as you go further on. Like the wins stop feeling the same. They don't give you that same rush. So I was basically just playing to maintain the feeling, and the only time I'd get the rush is when I went above and beyond in success. And those days where I did go above and beyond are kind of what made it all feel justified. So how'd I manage to quit then? Well, first, big shout out to all the people around me. One, for putting up with me while I was in that situation, and two, for helping me get out of it. But like, even with those people, I wouldn't have gotten out of it if I didn't realize there was a problem on my own terms. Like, at some point I started to realize that the ladder was a little bit rigged. Like, not completely, you could win ultimately. The devs themselves would say that they aimed to have every player have a 50-50 win rate, and that they'd put players who were statistically losing in with players that were statistically winning, ultimately making a more miserable experience for most people, probably. But that means you have to be abnormally good compared to everyone around you. You can't just be as good, you have to be way better to climb. And with my best characters, I'd have a better win rate than 50-50. I'd have like 65 to 75%, and that was good enough to slowly climb, but it wasn't a fast experience by any means. And past a certain rank, they start capping how much you can gain as you win, so you wouldn't get skyrocketed above where you were just by being better. You had to keep playing, keep grinding, even through the losses. Even if you watch the pros and streamers play on their Smurf accounts to like do the whole road to GM thing, you'll see them losing still. Not always. A lot of them are insanely good and can manage to rally the team, keep them going. But anyway, I crunched the numbers and saw like how long it took me to get from diamond rank to master rank, and I realized that it would probably take even more time to get from master rank to grandmaster rank. And even if I did get to grandmaster rank, there'd be a lot of work to do to make that a career. And that's not to say you can't do something for fun without needing to make it into a career, but the amount of time that I was spending on it was not the amount of time you spend on a hobby normally. It was the amount of time you would put into a career. And I realized like it was absolutely possible at the rate that I was going at to get to the top ranks, but it would require so much time, and once I got to those top ranks, I'd be competing against people whose job it was to full-time play Overwatch. And so I had to make a choice. Keep sacrificing everything else in my life to play Overwatch, or stop playing Overwatch. And I'd love to say that I just went cold turkey and never went back, but that is so far from the truth. I'd stop for a few weeks at a time, and then I'd convince myself, oh, the dream is still alive, you can still make it work, keep playing Overwatch, and I'd go back. And then I'd have to quit again, and it would happen again. And I'd quit again, and it'd happen again, but eventually it did stick. So far. I know that I didn't play Overwatch 2 at all, so I haven't played for probably roughly a year, maybe a little more. Weirdly though, I did actually gain a lot of skills from my time playing Overwatch. It was my first PC game, so I had to learn all the things related to that, like what PC parts did what, and how to use mouse and keyboard, and how to repair a few things, and how to record VODs with OBS, and even some streaming experience. And I learned that if I commit to something and care enough about it, I will improve at it, and I will get good at it. Maybe not the best, but probably above average, because I'm a super obsessive person when I actually enjoy something. I also learned a lot of leadership skills from my time playing tank and support, and I learned that my leadership skills are pretty garbage when I get tilted. I also discovered a lot of content creators that served as inspiration for me to start making content of my own, which I'm still learning, so bear with me. Because of all those things and more, I don't fully regret my time playing Overwatch. It also gave me a lot of really great memories, which as a fan of video games makes me even more angry that they threw away the potential that this game had. I mean, it's the only Blizzard game I've ever gotten super into, but I also know as a gaming history nerd that Blizzard used to be the good guys. The company that cared about their players and about the quality of their games. And it kinda sucks to see the company go the way of other terrible gaming giants. I'm ashamed to admit that to this day, if someone came up to me and told me I could make a living playing Overwatch, part of my brain would still really, really want that. But I've never been this stable in my entire life. I've got a great relationship, supportive friends, a place to live in a city that I love, and a new outlet for my passions and creativity. So this is me officially saying goodbye, Overwatch.